Welcome to the 22nd Holy World Podcast. I am your host, Ariana Valencia, and with me today I have Randy Blackwell, author of the soon-to-be-released Rise of the Magi, which is the first book in his series entitled Forgotten Portals. How are you today, Randy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. What motivated you to become a speculative fiction author?
You know, it's really funny. I used to play dice-based games before I was a Christian. Games where role-playing games where you would describe what you're doing and then, act out your character. And when I became a Christian, it was just the games that I played were too dark for me. I don't judge other people as to what they play, but it was just too dark for me, and so I had to quit. But I spent 6 years playing those games, and so I asked the Lord if there was any way I could redeem the time. I'd been in the Air Force for about 2 years, and I had an idea that came to me and snowballed over a trip that I took from Oklahoma City to Greenville, South Carolina. It's really funny. Before the trip, I prayed and told the Lord that I was gonna, I'm just gonna drive until I'm tired, and then I promise I'll stop and get a hotel or whatever. And I drove full 18 hours because the idea sparked at about an hour into it, and so it was just like this whole fantasy world unraveled in my head. And,
wow.
Well, it was one plot line for a game. And so over the years, it's just become so large. It's a 13-plus race fantasy world with 7 different kingdoms and 2 continents. I've got a 2,000-year history that I've written out for it and all that. And that'll be in the role-playing game book that we're going to come out with later. But, and then what sparked me to write is really funny. I had these magi on that world that were, they used power, but the power was from God.
Right.
And my pastor encouraged me. He said, because I was going to run a game, a dice-based game for a youth group lock-in. So my pastor encouraged me. He said, with some of the things that have been coming out lately, different media, that parents are, running into witchcraft and all that other stuff, I'm going to have a lot of parents that are going to balk at this. I challenge you to find another way to do it. And so I came up with these scientists who used sleight of hand to perform amazing feats. They had advanced technology. And so, but the question resounded in my mind, how did they get this advanced technology? And that's what sparked the whole Rise of the Magi novel.
Wow.
Well, there's a lot of parents that react to a certain movie series and book series that came out. They reacted not well to their kids getting involved to it, their Christian parents, and so they didn't. I guess he didn't want those parents to be. It wouldn't be the whole church. It was just certain parents, and he said, we just don't want to exclude any kids at this lock-in because their parents. What's the word? The part in the Bible where it says not to eat meat sacrificed to idols that offends your brother.
Cause your brother to stumble.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something to that extent. And I took the challenge, and I really wanted to run the youth group lock-in. It's kind of where everything kind of snowballed from, because these kids came up to me and they said, "Man, that was awesome." I mean, they had never played any kind. He's like, I don't know about all these dice rules, but you got to make this into a video game. And so, and then the youth pastor said the same thing to me, and then so did my dad. And so I was like, all right, Lord, I think you're trying to tell me something.
Right. Now, since your book is not out yet for the general public to read, I was hoping you could explain the basic premise of the story and subsequent series for our listeners.
Okay. Well, Rise of the Magi is a book that blends Christianity, science fiction, and fantasy in a story describing the journey of an atheist scientist, an illusionist con man, and an assassin across the stars through a dimensional galaxy, ending in a fantasy world beyond the character's imagination. The characters struggle against evil in the center of the dimensional galaxy, which is kind of a concept that I've come up with, as they come to face their own inner demons. The book uses the elements of adventure, action, romance, science fiction, Christianity, and fantasy together to present an epic tale of redemption. So the story is about the redemption of these 3 main characters. You have an atheist scientist who that's Omar, and you have Myles, who is a con man illusionist, and then you have Casey, who is an assassin. So they all end up in the center of this dimensional galaxy trying to struggle to get their way out. They find a great evil there, and they're kind of on the run while trying to save the lives of the other people there.